I am a Dallas Mavericks fan. I'm a huge Luka Doncic fan. In this video, I'm going to try to watch Nico Harrison's end of the season press conference, just react to what he said. I only saw a couple clips, so there might still be some good stuff in there, but from what I saw, it pissed me off. I'm gonna try to keep my emotions in check, but what he did to Luka, the city of Dallas, was just absolutely criminal. And I mean, just from the clips that I saw, it seemed like he was very timid to talk and a little shy. The way he was twisting and twirling the pen in his hand, you know that he was nervous to do this, as he should be. But I'm going to do my best and try to listen to this fool talk about what happened this year. And will he get fired soon? I don't know, maybe. But I mean, it was dumb. It was just wrong. If you're a sports fan, this is definitely the channel for you. I'm telling you right now, you won't regret it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, share, tell everybody you know about this channel. But if you like sports and you like to talk about them, this is the place to be. All right, here we go. Look at his face right here. I mean, he has to be shitting bricks at this point. He knows he was in the wrong, and he's probably about to get flamed by these reporters. Oh, geez. It's just, what do you have to say for yourself, Mr. Harrison?
Before I start, I'd really like to give a heartfelt thank you to the Dallas Mavericks staff. During the year, it's countless hours on the road.
He sounds like he's about to cry. Oh my God, he sounds like he's about to break into tears. That was a nice little heartfelt message to the Dallas Mavericks staff. Good on him, but you know, he's got a lot of bridges that are burnt that he's trying to put back together right now. Oh man, I don't know if I can even get through this.
The job they did this year was elite. And then lastly, the players. They really, they never say die attitude. They embody that. Next man up, kind of all the cliches. Like, they literally lived that this year.
That is one thing about the Mavericks this year is there was one or multiple guys hurt pretty much every single game. They did have that next man up mentality, guys like Brandon Williams, Jaden Hardy, whenever he was able to play. I mean, this roster was just ended up being so long of every player that played a game this year for them. They did still have a chance to make the actual playoffs and be a competitive team. If they stayed healthy, I think we would see them in the actual playoffs right now. But, of course, the injuries and everything that happened to them is just, they just didn't get that opportunity.
Defense wins championships, and we are hanging our hat on defense. We're going to return one of the best front lines in the NBA, and we have one of the deepest and the most versatile benches. With the support of the fans, we are committed to coming back next year stronger than ever.
I don't know how much support you're going to have from fans going in the next year unless you somehow trade around and get Cooper Flag or somebody like that in the draft. But, as a fan, I'm positive for next year. If AD stays healthy, Kyrie comes back, and he can play a majority of the season, it's not going to be a bad team. Would it be better with Luka Doncic? Yeah, but he's on to bigger and better things maybe now.
Our goal is to bring a championship back to Dallas. And with that,
You were right there last year. You were right there bringing a championship back to the city. The guy that got you there, Luka Doncic, no longer on the team. So you got a tougher road ahead of you if you want to try to bring that championship back. But like I said, they're a deep team, good defensive team. It's possible.
Open up for questions.
Hey, Nico. In the few days...
Imagine being the first person to ask a question. So many questions probably running through your head. I'm not a professional journalist like these people are, so we'll see what kind of questions they can cook up. Is there coffee in there or vodka, whiskey, whatever? Who knows, but he's definitely nervous.
Since your roundtable discussion with some reporters and since the end of the season...
Why is he doing this?
Some players have acknowledged, the challenge of playing through the post-trade noise. And, in hindsight, they and Jason were the ones who primarily had to answer the questions about that over the last couple of months. Do you feel like the franchise and you specifically...
I'm not a professional journalist. I went to school for broadcasting, communications, a little bit of journalism, all that. The one thing I hate is these long-ass questions. It shouldn't be a 20-second long question. Just get straight to the point. No yes or no questions, but, you got to speed this up. You got to be clear and concise. That was one big thing that has stuck with me since school. Clear and concise. With that being said, I'm going to stop talking. Back to the video.
But also we wanted to talk after we had our roster. Our plan was to put Kyrie, Clay, AD, PJ, Lively on the floor so that people could see the vision. And unfortunately, that actually never came. So there was never a good time for us to do that.
That is kind of sad to think about. I mean, those guys that he named that would have been the starting five, that's a good starting five. That's a competitive starting five in the NBA. It is just kind of a shame that us as fans of the Mavericks and the NBA never really got to see that. Because I think with that starting five and the bench behind them, I mean, that's a playoff team. The West is good. It's deep, but I think they still could have got like 6 seed, 7 seed, something like that. But it's a shame we didn't get to see his vision of what he saw.
The weeks leading up to the trade, how much discussion internally was about just trading Luka for another player who up to that point had missed a lot more time in his career, effectively, like trading a guy for a player who I guess was more injury prone. How much did you guys discuss that or think about that?
I think I can answer that for them. I think there was zero discussion. I mean, according to everybody, according to everything, only Harrison and Rob Pelinka were the only people to know about this trade. Whether that's true or not still, I don't know. Maybe his answer here will clear that up.
Yeah, I mean, when you trade a guy of Luka's caliber, you're not taking it lightly. So we discussed everything. But we really
Who is we?
really feel that defense is our calling card and what we're going to hang our hat on. And when we had an opportunity to get one of the best two-way players in the league, we jumped at that opportunity.
One of the best two-way players in the league. Yes, that's true, but he's hurt every goddamn other day. Luka, I don't care if he was out of shape or whatever. I want to see if he addresses that specifically in here. But he got rid of one of the best players, who will go down as one of the best players of all time in Luka, to get in a very injury-prone Anthony Davis. Yes, he's better defensively, works better in that scheme if that's what he wants his team to be like, but you just can't get rid of Luka Doncic. That's just nuts.
Here, Isaac from Locked On Mavs. When
Oh man, stop smiling.
For you to be fired, that's an experience that none of us, no one's chanting for for us to lose our jobs. Why shouldn't you be fired?
I saw that on Twitter. Why shouldn't you be fired? That's a great question. I think the way he set that up too, saying that there was people chanting for Nico to be fired, and you don't chant for journalists or assistant coaches to be fired or anything like that. And then clear and concise to the point, why shouldn't you be fired? That's a great question by that guy. I don't really remember the whole response here, but oh boy.
Well, one, I think I've done a really good job here, and I don't think I can be judged by the injuries this year. You have to judge from totality, from beginning to end, and so.
Was that a good answer? I mean, basically just said he's done a good job here, which, I mean, like I said, getting Gafford in Washington last year, drafting Derek Lively, I think even getting Spencer Dinwiddie and Najee Marshall were good moves. I mean, he has had some bad moves in the past, but he's also had a handful of good moves. I tweeted it. I've said it earlier in this video. I just said it now. But his response to that question, basically just saying he's done a good job here, and we're going to have to wait and see what this team looks like next year. And if they don't play the way he thinks they're going to play, then I think he might be getting the axe in Dallas.
And Nico, you say repeatedly the defense wins championships. Are you saying it was impossible to build a roster that included Luka Doncic that was strong enough defensively to win a championship?
No, I think it's really doubling down on defense. And like I said, when we had the opportunity to get Anthony Davis, who is one of the best two-way players in the league, we jumped at that opportunity.
He's really set on bringing Anthony Davis in to fit this defensive mold that he wants for the team. Obviously, when the trade happened, Jason Kidd was not happy with it in that press conference with those two. His face, you could tell he was just sad, really. He said, did you think it was impossible to build a roster around Luka to be better defensively? He said no. I don't know why you wouldn't try to do that, and you kind of did last year. The team was great defensively last year with Gafford and PJ Washington. So still really no clear answer as to why he traded Luka.
It's going off that question. You made it very clear defense wins championships, and that's a very respectable mentality. It's an old basketball saying.
Also, I mean, I think that goes for any sport, and I'm a big believer in that. I like defense. I like when teams take pride in defense. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the past at least couple NBA championships, those teams weren't great defensively. I mean, the Celtics were good defensively last year, but they were also really good on the offensive side. The Nuggets, they've always been good on offense with Jokic and Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. Defensively, they haven't been too great. Like, I feel like if this Mavericks team plays out the way that he's thinking it is, it's going to be a really good defensive team if everybody freaking stays healthy. But there's still going to be a good offensive team. But I just don't see why you give up the offensive beast that Luka is just to maybe try to take a shot in the dark and be an elite defensive team.
Well, looking at Luka Doncic, he did get this team to the NBA Finals last year. When you look at Luka Doncic, do you consider him a championship-level player?
You know, that's kind of an unfair question. Luka's no longer on this team. But what I am excited about is I do believe we have a championship caliber team, and we'll show that next year.
Well, that simply did not answer that dude's question. That was a great question, too. These reporters are killing it for the most part, minus that first guy that talked for 20 minutes. But do you consider Luka Doncic a championship caliber player? I mean, yeah, you put him on any team and he's going to make that team a championship contender. We saw it in Dallas. We're seeing it with the Lakers right now, even though I don't think they're going to win the championship. But he just deflected that and did not answer that at all. Next.
Mike Curtis, Dallas Morning News. Piggybacking off that a little bit, you mentioned last week that Dirk is no longer around the franchise. Obviously, Luka isn't a part of the franchise anymore. I guess how do you repair the relationship with the fan base going forward?
Well,
that's a great question, Mr. Harrison. As a Mavs fan, I would love to hear what you have to say on this matter.
One, you mentioned Dirk, and so it's important to say he's the single most important figure to the franchise. So that's extremely important. I believe winning will help repair the relationship with the fans. And that's what we plan to do next year.
Amazing.
He wants the Mavericks to win. Me too. Great answer. Jeez. I mean, I don't know how much more he can say. Oh, boy.
That winning will repair it, but have you ever thought about what if it doesn't?
I'm an optimistic person, and I move by faith, not by fear.
Oh, that was a bar. He quieted that guy up. But yeah, what if winning doesn't help? I mean, I think just what he did to Luka in general, just the way that he actually betrayed him, it's like something that you would see in a movie. But imagine the Mavericks win back-to-back championships and people still hate this guy. I mean, that's a tough thing to say. We're just gonna have to wait and see on that, how successful this team is gonna be in the future without Luka. But you definitely dropped the bar there at the end. He moves with faith, not fear.
You made the deal. Is that why we're sitting here today?
No, it was one. We do this every year. We do exit interviews. It's no different than what we've done in previous years.
This year just seems a little bit more important, and we need some more information than we usually do at the end of seasons. Oh.
And, you said defense win championships. We saw the Nuggets 2 years ago. I mean, they finished 15th in defense the regular season. Is kind of the one of the 30 guys who runs an NBA team. What's just your analysis of how, I guess, that Nuggets team won the championship?
It's...
I feel like that's... I'll take it from here, Nico. I feel like that's a weird question, even though I did just mention the Nuggets and how they won their championship, but going that specifically, I mean, a simple answer is they have the best player in the league in Nikola Jokic and a good supporting cast around him. So, I mean, you don't have to be number one in defense when you have guys like that on the offensive side. I'm going to hear what he has to say, but I think that was an adequate answer.
I don't want to dismiss your question, but I'm not concerned about the Nuggets. I feel like we have a championship caliber team when we're whole, and we're going to hang our hat on defense. We're going to be one of the best defensive teams in the league, and I think that's going to be our calling card.
Nico, right here. Matt Cagle, Football Street Telegram. When you were kicking the idea of this trade around, and you had various scenarios planned in your head, did the anger and outrage from the fan base, has that exceeded what you were kind of...
I think this is the question that got the famous answer that blew up on the internet the day this happened, but I haven't seen the whole chunk of it, so let's see what happens.
Planning for?
Yeah, good question. I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at.
Well, now he does. There was a funeral service or whatever outside the stadium. People burning his jerseys, just not going to the games. The game where the Lakers came to Dallas, and those fans. First off, that tribute video, he was bawling his eyes out. It almost got me. I couldn't even imagine being in that crowd for that game, but the fans were cheering for him the entire game. I mean, if that doesn't show how much he meant to the city of Dallas Mavericks fans, I mean, that's just crazy. That game perfectly captured what Luka Doncic meant to the Mavericks.
Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage. And so unfortunately we weren't able to do that, so it just continued to, go on and on.
I don't think the outrage would have stopped if this team was winning games. Maybe if the Mavericks won the championship this year, that rage would kind of go away for some people, but I mean, if they didn't, say they got into the playoffs and lost in the first round, people still would have been absolutely fuming like they are right now. But I think it's going to take, multiple championships, soon, and good records for this team in the future to even slow down a little bit of the hatred from that trade.
Were you told that you had to trade?
No, not at all. Patrick reminds me of...
So he could have shifted the blame to somebody else at this moment, which he didn't, so I commend him for that, but still don't know why he did it.
Nico over here. Speaking of Patrick, has this impacted your relationship with him at all since making the deal? Has this frayed your relationship working with him?
Yeah, it actually strengthened it because we talk a lot more, and we're
it's probably like his therapist at this point.
Together to this.
What about you and Jason Kidd? You guys have been close for such a long time. How involved was he in this deal at the time, and how has this impacted your relationship with him as well?
And so Jason's obligation is to coach the team that he has right there. The last thing I can do is get him distracted by what could be, what may be. And I know how Jason thinks. I know the players that he likes. I know the style of play that he wants to play, and we're connected.
So he didn't even mention if Kidd was involved at all, which means he had zero involvement. He was not, he didn't have his opinion or say in it at all. He knows the type of players that Jason Kidd likes and likes to coach. I think Luka Doncic fits that perfectly. Jason Kidd as a player was this fun, creative, offensive type of point guard. That's what Luka was, but even better than Jason Kidd ever possibly could have been. But that response or lack thereof of an actual answer to show that Jason Kidd was completely left in the dark about that decision.
Entry from Texas Metro News. Nico, how personally are you handling all of this? What keeps you in front of everyone? People, the fans are upset. Almost hate. I have to say the word. How do you deal with that? How are you dealing with that? One.
Dorothy, that is a great question. Everybody just asking about the players and the team in general. Nobody's checked on Nico himself. I mean, I'm surprised that he didn't quit I feel bad for him and probably his family getting death threats and probably crazy shit like that. But that was a great question there. That might be his therapist there, especially at the beginning, how he said, "Hi, Dorothy." That might be his therapist or something. But Dorothy, that's a great question. Now let's see how he responds.
And then two, do you understand how they feel? I think they want to know that you feel their pain about losing Luka. What can you say to them?
Well, when you have 20,000 people in this stadium chanting "Fire Nico," you really feel it. I mean, I use the word awesome, but not in a positive way. Like, you can really feel how they feel. So yes, I feel them. How am I doing? I'm good. You know, I said this last week. God's got me covered. I have an amazing family and an amazing support group to get through it. You know, my job is to make decisions I feel are in the best interest of this organization, and I got to stand by the decision. And some of them were going to be unpopular, and this was clearly one that's unpopular.
You think? Oh, man. This is good.
Nico, you've said over and over about defense wins championships, and you've been here several years with Luka for the trade. I'm wondering he was pretty much a known product. He was who he was. At what point did you decide that you wanted to try to move him for something different?
Yeah, there was never, it wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back. When you live with someone for 3 years, you get to know their strengths and weaknesses. It was more about a change in philosophy in terms of how can we get a top defensive team that will help us win a championship.
So that wasn't something that had built over 6 months, 8 months, 9 months?
No, not at all.
So I don't understand that. It wasn't you could be lying, but didn't seem like it was like a building hatred or, disliking into Luka. But did that mean one day Rob Pelinka called him and was like, we can trade Anthony Davis for Luka? And then he was like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. So I still obviously, I want to know his thought process, but he would just say defense wins championships. We're trying to get better defensively. This is crazy.
The organization dealt with injuries, long before the trade deadline as well, but traded a healthy player in Quentin Grimes for an injured player in Caleb Martin, and it had hard capped the team with the first apron.
That was also a bad trade. I mean, Quentin Grimes with the Knicks, I thought he was a solid player. When he came to the Mavs, I thought that was a great pickup for them. He played really well, especially when Luka was hurt and Kyrie missed games. He's now turned into a superstar in Philadelphia. Somehow, I'm a Caleb Martin fan. I think he was a big part in that Heat championship run team in the past, but obviously being injured and trading Grimes away, I didn't think that was a good move really at all. Obviously, fans less upset about that, but I think moving on from Quentin Grimes was also a big mistake. This has been a lot of fun. It's still making me angry that he made the trade, but it's kind of getting some answers that us as Mavericks fans were looking for. But I don't want this to be a 20-hour long video. I'm going to skip to the end. And I do want to see if they show the clip of him trying to leave and the door's locked, because that was hilarious on Twitter too. Maybe get 1 or 2 more questions in here just to try to keep the video short. But I'm definitely enjoying this and happy that I am doing this.
But the other observation is that not necessarily that you made a big trade, but what you got in return. What did you feel like prevented you, and maybe that's the wrong word, from getting more in return when we've seen other NBA trades? The one that stands to mind is Rudy Gobert.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, and I said this last week, if you don't value AD as an all NBA player and an all defensive player, then you're not gonna like the trade. We targeted AD, but if you don't like him, then there's nothing else we get that's going to make you excited about the trade, and we value him.
Just 2 more questions.
So his love for Anthony Davis prevented him from, I wonder if he asked for more draft picks or more players or anything, but that was the one big thing that stuck out to me, the return for Luka. They got Max Christie, Anthony Davis, and a 2nd-round pick or something like that. He definitely should have been able to get more draft picks, but I guess he's just so in love with AD and thinks he is a superstar player. He's really good. It's just the fact that he gets hurt so often that this dream starting 5 he has, I don't think we're going to see it very often next year.
Are you worried that the Luka trade is going to hurt you guys in free agent negotiation moving forward? Are you worried that moving forward, other players that come here might think, well, if I go there, what if they trade me without knowing? Is that a concern you guys have?
Not at all.
That's a good question.
It's not just about me, but you have Hall of Famer Jason Kidd. You have a bunch of amazing players that, Kyrie Irving, people want to play with him. So I think we have a lot that's in our favor, so I don't worry about getting free agents. That's the least of my concerns.
Just don't get to a Luka Doncic superstar level and you won't get stabbed in the back. You'll be okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a weird way to stand up. Oh, they didn't show it. Well, I don't know how I was able to do it, but I did it. I didn't watch the whole thing just because I didn't want the video to be too long, but that was me as a Mavericks fan reacting to the Nico Harrison postseason press conference. I got a little bit of clarity of what actually happened in that trade, but the answers I was looking for is I simply would have asked, why did you trade Luka Doncic? Didn't really get an answer into if anybody else was involved in this. So as far as I'm concerned, nobody else besides Nico Harrison and Rob Pelinka were involved in that trade. But I think it was good for me just to watch that and hear some of the things he said. I don't wish harm on him or his family or anything. So that stuff kind of sucks. But it seems like he's an optimistic type of person. He thinks this team going into next year is a championship contending team. We're just going to have to wait and see. But either way, go Dallas, go Mavericks. I'm excited for next year, I guess.